Tim Kvek. I am a Select Account Manager in the Pacific Select Account team. As a Select Account Manager, I have 12 accounts, 9 of which have an international footprint and truly global requirements that come with that. In this type of environment, an architectural approach is an absolute must to be successful. And borderless networks is the foundation and the key building block for this approach. So today, I was going to talk to you about our borderless networks architecture. So here are some stats that validate Cisco's borderless networks. It took the industry 27 years to get to the first billion computers deployed out in our industry. And the next billion, it's only going to take 7 more years. So that is due to the proliferation of iPhones, smartphones, tablets, etc. that you see out in the marketplace today. In 2010 alone, there were over 12 million iPads sold. What that has resulted in has been a 10% increase in the global internet traffic specifically from those users. So let's think about these market transitions. Back in 2001, we had Ethernet connected desktops utilizing applications such as Excel and other applications that were housed in the data center. Now today in 2011, we have people using iPads, smart mobile devices. People are now shifting towards more of the cloud-based applications utilizing these types of devices. So if we dig a little deeper, those market transitions are defined by the following. Device proliferation. More iPads, more iPhones, more smartphones. Mobility that's driven by wireless access. Today's users expect and demand ubiquitous, secure, wireless access across any environment within the companies they work for. And last but not least, cloud-based applications, not just applications such as Salesforce and WebEx, but also things like Facebook and YouTube have led to the market transition that we're seeing in the market today. And last but not least, let's not forget business video. The proliferation of things like flip cameras, WebEx with video, and things like YouTube are becoming commonplace in the market today. So what does this mean to customers? What is in it for a customer when they embrace our borderless networks approach? Well, in short, it means standardization. In an international environment, you've got hundreds of offices on a global basis. So standardization is actually key. Defining those locations into cookie cutter site standards, i.e. they could be small, medium, large, and a core location in each region. You would have the US, Europe, Asia Pac, etc. Borderless networks is the underlying foundation to that type of standardization. For UC, for whatever you're doing, an ERP rollout, borderless networks is the Lego, that green flat piece of Legos that everybody played with when we were kids. That is the base and the foundation for rolling out or migrating to either an ERP system, like an Oracle, or migrating to even UC. You're laying the foundation with switching and routing, having security built into all of the different components that you're putting out there, creating a standardization of an approach. And at the same time, you'll be able to leverage some of the functionality that you're laying in the switching and routing platform, things like PoE, quality of service, that will open up new possibilities to the customer, such as the potential to increase productivity, to give them a competitive advantage, and last but not least, an improved workplace experience that could result in a higher employer retention. Now, from an IT perspective, it gives you benefits such as forecastable budgeting, an understanding of what your standard is, and fewer skill sets to manage. And with those types of things, lower TCO to the customer. So let's step back and talk about the market transition again, and perhaps talk about the technology that best captures and signifies that transition. iPads. This is not a corporate issued device, yet there's thousands of them out there. We're seeing them in every customer. It does not have an Ethernet port, but it is wireless only today. So all of the applications that are on these devices are actually coming from cloud or downloaded from the iStore from Apple. And of course, video is a big part of these devices, such as Flip, WebEx, and YouTube. So what is Cisco doing to help customers capture this type of opportunity? Well, Cisco provides the borderless network architecture, which is a set of technologies. Now let's go back to the Legos analogy. Borderless in its entirety is made up of switching and routing, security, and wireless solutions, all put into one architecture. So when you think back to your days when you were a kid, and you had the green base where all the Legos were snapping onto, that is your switching and routing borderless network infrastructure. And all of the additional technologies that you're going to migrate to, whether it's adding an ERP system, adding UC, whatever you may have, are just additional Legos that you can snap down onto that green base and utilize some of the technologies that were already existing in that base. Things like quality of service, things like power over Ethernet, etc. And by using a standardized approach, like I mentioned earlier, breaking up to small, medium, large, cookie cutter site standards, you can create a lot of efficiencies for the customer if they properly define the base where they can directly leverage that initial investment in borderless networks to migrate to newer technologies in the future. Borderless networks lays that foundation. So let's talk about what are some of the product sets that make up our borderless networks architecture. Now we talked about switching and routing, which is really the base technology for this architecture. Let's talk about some more specifics. AnyConnect. AnyConnect is basically a VPN technology, not just for desktops and for PCs and Macs like you're used to in the past, but the ability to bring in things like iPads, iPhones, and a whole array of smart devices securely into your environment, regardless of where they're located. Clean Air technology, which is a wireless technology that Cisco brings to the table that provides interference-free, enterprise-quality wireless, regardless of where the person is at. Video stream. This provides a quality of service across the wireless network for the video traffic which is being generated by things like the iPads, etc. that we mentioned earlier. Scan Safe and Iron Port. We want your users to be secure, so this will give your users the ability to access the internet freely and securely for going to things such as Facebook. And with all that traffic growth, of course, we have to accommodate that securely into the data center. So the ASA 5585 would be the last thing that I would talk about that is a little bit game-changing. It's a high-performance firewall data center class which can support up to 350,000 simultaneous connections to accommodate a huge array and proliferation of all of the different wireless devices that we've discussed. So what are the benefits for the customers that embrace the borderless networks architecture? Well, let's go back to the Legos analogy. Once you've laid that green base of switching and routing with security built into all of those devices, you have laid the foundation to migrate to multiple technologies and support them in the future. For example, Cisco uniquely continues to enhance their wireless, their route switch, and a security product set. So you'll be able to continue to leverage that investment with multiple technologies. And for those customers that have already taken that leap, they've already developed that 3-year end state architecture that starts with the borderless network foundation. And they've already migrated to UC and or our data center solution sets. That will now allow them to offer their customers, their end users, the ability to access their networks borderlessly wherever they are in the workplace. So what should customers do next? Well, feel free to reach out to your Cisco account manager. We would be happy to come out and chat with you about a sponsored engagement at a high level where we can better understand your business requirements and develop that 3-year end state architecture. And as I mentioned earlier, borderless networks is the base foundation where we have to start. Or you can go to www.cisco.go/borderless and take a look for yourself there. Thanks.